Hi, my name is Kelsey Guest. I work for the California Native Plant Society, and today I will be discussing 2021 post-fire monitoring efforts in Santa Cruz and Santa Clara counties. My interest in ecology began behind the Redwood Curtain in Arcata, California, where I received a BS in botany at Humboldt State in 2014. After graduating, I worked for the National Park Service doing inventory and monitoring of plant communities in various parks across Northern California. I started with CNPS in 2020 and have been mapping and classifying vegetation across the state. The goal of my talk is to inform you about monitoring efforts we've started, to get you excited about these efforts, and to open doors for collaborative opportunities this year and beyond. As many of you know, vegetation in California has been influenced by fire and humans since time immemorial. But since colonization, fire suppression and climate change have altered the way that fires behave. Increased fuel loads, drought, and lack of sufficient cultural or prescribed burning contribute to unprecedented wildfires. We want to understand how these fires are affecting vegetation communities to provide information for managers on how to support resilient systems in this ever-changing climate. In spring of 2021, we sampled post-fire vegetation in state parks using California Department of Fish and Wildlife rapid assessment and releve protocols with an adapted post-fire component. In Santa Clara County, we sampled vegetation affected by the 2020 SCU lightning complex within Henry Cove State Park. It was super interesting to observe fire effects across varying veg types in this park. A major fire-following herb found was Eminanthe penduliflora, or whispering bells. You can see patches of it emerging under the severely burned gray pine stand. Chaparral is an important plant community in Henry Cove and showed some beautiful mosaics of varying fire severity. You can see these patches where chamise burned and is resprouting, adjacent to completely unburned chamise. Park managers did not suppress this fire, and it was interesting to see the effects of a healthy burn. In Santa Cruz County, sampling occurred in 4 different state parks affected by the 2020 CZU lightning complex. It was super interesting to see different coastal vegetation communities and how they respond to fire. This photo is looking over Big Basin with a stand of burned redwoods in the background with resprouting chamise and emerging yerba santa in the front. So the majority of our time was spent in the redwood forest, where we installed 17 long-term monitoring plots with a protocol that was developed by the Ackerley lab at UC Berkeley. These plots were allocated on a hydrological and burn severity gradient and were compared to unburned plots with matching parameters like slope and aspect. These plots were quite tedious and big. They were 50 by 50 meter plots that were set up, and we assessed all vegetation, including canopy, understory, seedlings, and resprouts. They took about 1 to 2 days to complete, depending on the size of the crew, and we could not have done it without our amazing collaborators and volunteers. So in April of 2021, we kicked off the Redwood monitoring project with a training day that brought around 40 people together to learn about sampling post-fire vegetation. Brett Hall from UCSC Arboretum brought a slew of staff and interns, as well as interns from Dr. Gregory Gilbert's lab at UCSC, Dr. Michelle Geary and students from West Valley College, as well as state park staff and CNPS volunteers were all contributors to this effort. It was incredible to have so many people of different backgrounds and levels of experience come together and get excited about vegetation and fire. Many students didn't even know this kind of work existed. They were stoked. It was inspiring to see young people excited about doing something meaningful, not to mention getting outside and learning something hands-on after remote learning for over a year. The 2020 fire year was unprecedented in terms of fire severity, which can cause a lot of fear of fire in adjacent communities. Losing homes and communities is absolutely devastating, but what we saw within the forests was a lot of resiliency. Even in the most severely burned stands, we saw countless seedlings, resprouting trees and shrubs, and wildlife returning to their habitats. These forests and ecosystems hold innate wisdom. They have been living and adapting to fire long before humans were here. Some state park scientists I talked to were more concerned about the potential effects of suppression, like dozer lines and introduced exotic weeds, more than the effects of high severity fire burning through redwoods. The forest will never be the same, but it will return. I wish I had time to vocalize each and every person and organization that contributed to these efforts. I wanted to thank them so much for their time and energy. And thank you for listening. If you're interested in participating in future fieldwork or general collaboration, please contact Julie Evans or me. Thank you.